Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen, from the beautiful county of 041, Siaya County. I want to start by saying really I have missed you. Yes, I've really missed you, and I want to say thank you for those who really were behind me. Of course, some members of this channel that in one way or the other had financial support, prayers and motivation towards our Nyombo ceremony. I was doing it here at home. Ladies and gentlemen, when I just this day I went through the newspaper, and one of the stories that has captured my attention is one I want us to pay attention to. Patrick Lumumba, who was a strong critic of Building Bridges initiative that was hatched by Raila Odinga alongside former President Uhuru Kenyatta, while appearing in a Citizen TV interview, has opined that the country Kenya is ripe for a constitutional moment. And this is what has been at the center of the latest disagreement between William Ruto and Raila Odinga, the team that are engaged in the bipartisan talks. There were signs and very clear objective and passion of bipartisan talks getting its footage and taking its course and actually succeeding for the second time in a row. But again, with the latest snag, with the latest development, bipartisan talks is at the brink of collapsing. Pro-government side have insisted on implementation of two-third gender rule through a parliamentary amendment. But according also to the basic structure, probably, for you to alter the basic structure of governance, you may need the referendum. So there have been different discussions into this to achieve the two-third gender rule. As affirmative posts, the nomination posts might need to be adjusted, and that adjusted cannot simply be done by an act of parliament. There is a way, and Kenya Kwanza have always simplified this, and some of these deliberations were simplified by as easy as running to parliament, writing a letter to the speakers, and just through a letter from the president, parliament sits and discusses and reaches a conclusion on which post to be created and which one to be scrapped. And that has been criticized by many political pundits, arguing that we cannot hawk the constitution in parliament so that everything that is done is simplified by just an act of parliament, because some of these things are being made for posterity. If we are to alter the basic structure, and that is, I think that is the argument of Patrick Lumumba, is that we have all agreed that we have a problem of winner takes all. And if there is something that Uhuru Kenyatta realized in his second term, and he tried his best, is to address the winner takes all virus, because that is what has killed our democracy, where people have been made to understand that unless you're a shareholder, and if you're not a shareholder, that you're not anything, you cannot get share. You even see the way state appointments are done, skewed state appointments. You look at allocation of resources. Today, just the other day, we had PDL on the roads to be maintained, and Nyanza was left out. There was no road in Nyanza that was earmarked for that maintenance. And so there have been a sense of people that are in power, or the communities or the tribes, tribal arrangements that are in power, tend to take the biggest and almost all, while those who are not part of it. And that is what we've tried to to solve. Now, even Kenya Kwanza acknowledged this, and what was created to Musalia Mudavadi as the post of Chief Cabinet Secretary was created for the sake of Luya community. And the leaders will go there, Rigathi Gachagua and the team will go there and tell the Mulembe nation that we gave Mudavadi that prime cabinet secretary. You know what? It's for the Luya nation to feel they are part of that government. And people have always argued that even if you wanted to, if you don't look at the winner takes all as a problem, then you would have just given Mudavadi any other post, or even a parastatal job, or even just another minister. But it had to be pampered like a chief cabinet secretary, so that it's first seen that it's a very highest rank and it's given to Mulembe nation. So being that we've acknowledged this, Lumumba is saying this is something that it's a moment. Now, for the first time, he is speaking the voice of what Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga spoke about some time back. Now, Nyandarua Senator Medhu, while in that interview, interjected and disagreed with now coming out clearly that Azimio and Kenya Kwanza are in disagreement and they cannot agree on whether we go the parliamentary way or we go the constitutional way. I want to say here, for the avoidance of doubt, if the deliberations of bipartisan talks are supposed to help us solve the 2022 election results, exclusively if it is to be narrowed down to settling Raila or making Raila settle, then we are headed nowhere. If we are to make a decision and make some changes, those changes should not be made with someone looking at Raila Odinga. Whoever is effecting those changes, we should make changes for posterity. And that is why, if we are to create whichever position and we have to go the long route, I don't think there is any agency to create that position. Even if we do a referendum after 1 year or so, there is no urgency of creating that office if it is to be created. So that if it goes to referendum, then that means for you to undo it, you must go for another referendum. But then the government side have declined any talk about changing the constitution. I've said this a while and I want to repeat. There are simply these 4 reasons why Ruto is scared of any talk, leave alone just the referendum, any talk of changing the constitution. Ruto is quite scared of that because of this. Clearly, Raila will use it to consolidate his support base on the basis of us versus them. Very simple. If Raila Odinga and William Ruto are even first to agree on a constitutional move, a move to change the constitution, if they don't have a united front, which I guess I don't see a possibility, then they will be on different paths. And because Kenya Kwanza will also want that different paths, Raila will move an opposition. Of course, there have been some very reckless talks and some very reckless decisions that are supposed to be made there. I have seen the government side saying they don't want. So what has actually been done is that they've been trying to create a situation where, if Raila says no and Ruto says yes, and then we head to a vote consolidation or a vote mobilization process, Raila will clearly dash. Because the government is already facing a lot of resistance or rebellion from the population. Not on the basis of that referendum, but things are not working or things are not as they were promised, or they cannot be delivered as they were promised. So the population will clearly use any slightest opportunity to punish government. In fact, I can tell you that it will be very easy for William Ruto's supporter in Mount Kenya or Rift Valley or anywhere to wake up in the morning and vote a no, not because the document is wrong, but it's because we want to pass a vote of no confidence against William Ruto. And William Ruto knows very well that any referendum contest between government side and the opposition wing will be a vote of no confidence on the government of the day. Number 2, the president will lose grip of his voting constituency. Why? How? You may want to know. For the time there was BBI, what was the basis of the hustler agenda was framed on the basis that we cannot go to the constitutional, or we cannot use resources to amend the constitution while people are going angry. Now what happened here is, there was a projection that was made, or there was an image that was created, and that image was created to show that clearly Ruto is pro-hustlers, and Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta are dynasties that were only creating those positions for themselves. And because that already got to the mind of some hustlers and, you know, some gullible voters, William Ruto will be framed and will be in a very tight frame in any case there is a constitutional review. I want you to look at Twitter, and many a times there are things that William Ruto has done. I remember when the talks started, when the discussion about the talks, when Ruto decided to sit ground for the talks, one of the things that happened here is, I saw some supporters saying, you know, we said we were going to be done with Raila once and for all. And some few voters, William Ruto's voters from Kikuyu, who are his, you know, his followers, believed they were voting to send Raila to Bondo. And that's why even the recent Mount Kenya tour, they were told, we are sending Raila to Bondo. So this is one of the things that Ruto fears very well, that he's going to lose the narrative holding him with the voting constituency. Number two, campaigns will paralyze the nation against him. Because, you know, when there are campaigns, people will be moving. Ruto will of course, when he gets early into the campaign mode, disorganized. There's no way he's going to deliver. And so the question of, oh, I have done that, I've done this, I'm doing fertilizer, I'm doing that, is not going to, in fact, it's going to erode or inaenda kufunika what the government is doing. And lastly, referendum is feared mostly. When you see Lennox of PLO Lumumba commenting or going pro this, it means this thing could have a deeper backing. And so Ruto knows that any vote mobilization process or even a referendum would open doors for foreign donations, and that would create vibrance in the political parties. What has been created here is, the William Ruto wants to create one political party, you know, make UDA like a communist party in China, which is, I think it is just a textbook proposal. I don't think it's even practical, even the people that are thinking about it. And so, clearly what this will end up to be is that the foreign donations will get their way into the political parties. And with that, even the civil society will be vibrant enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my take. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.